What is up, everybody? Justin here, aka No Good Comics, and welcome back to the channel. It is a Tuesday night, and I am bringing to you a comic creator origins show. I haven't done one of these in a long time. Feels like a long time, and it's been a while, and I miss them. I hope that you guys appreciate these from when I was doing them. But man, basically, comic creator origins is where I bring on a guest that is a creator of some sort in the comic book world or industry, whether they're an artist or a writer or editor or whatever the case may be, and I have them on to just talk about their projects, talk about how they got into the industry as a whole, where they started with comics as a whole, and so on and so forth. So I'm really excited to talk to the guest that I have on tonight, because somebody who I've known for quite some time, and I'll get into that in just a second. Before I do want to remind everybody that this Saturday I'm going to be at ZapCon here in Wayne, New Jersey. It is my local comic shop's Comic-Con that they hold every year. This is their 5th year doing it, and they're celebrating their 30th anniversary of being open. So really, really cool to know that this LCS has been in LCS for 30 years. I've discovered them over 5 years ago or so when I was getting into comics, but man, they're just awesome people, and I'm really excited to be part of that. So much so that they gave me a table of my own, which I've never done before either. So I'm not selling anything. You can just come by and literally talk comics with me. That's what we're doing here tonight, is just talking comics. So if you know me, you know my channel, you know that's what I do. So it should be a lot of fun. It's all day Saturday. It's in Wayne, New Jersey. If you're around, swing by, say hi, and buy some comic books. There's some great people there at Zap. So that's my plug for ZapCon coming up here again this Saturday. I think doors open at 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock, something like that. I'll have more information over on my Instagram. So yeah, we're gonna get into this because I'm, like I said, I'm very excited. My guest is somebody who I've talked to. We were trying to figure it out maybe 3, maybe 4 years ago, that we've kind of started to just connect over time over on Instagram. And even that, I don't, we see so many faces, but there are some that just, you stay in touch with for a long period of time. I've gotten to know this dude for a while now, and I'm excited because not only is I knew him from the collector side of things, he's also a writer. He's very much involved in creating comic books himself, and he has one that's out right now or about to be out. You can find all the links in the description below to the Kickstarter project that he has for a book called Armored. And of course, I am talking about my man Michael Schwartz. Mike, what is up, dude?
Hey, man. Yeah. Thanks, man. Thank you for having me on.
Absolutely, man, dude. I've been so pumped I'm glad we set this up. Like, I was telling you backstage, like, I had this other show, Comic Collector Origins, and like, if I continued that on, like, you certainly would be on here at some point, because you've been such a good friend and supporter and connect. Like, just talking comics with you has been so much fun, and I'm excited for you because of this project that you're on right now. You have Armored, the book that you have sitting there next to you, which I will say I read the digital copy that you sent me. Thank you for that. I'm already set up at your Kickstarter, by the way, so like I can't wait to get the first book in hand physically. So many cool covers that you have, and I know we'll get into all that and learn a little bit more about the book. But before that, of course, this is all about you. This is about how you got into things. So I just want to thank you, man, for being part of this.
Oh, no, thank you. Because honestly, there's like a core group of guys and girls, I'm sure, that I've spoken to over the years that I've stayed connected to for so long.
Yeah.
Right? Like I think it has been 4 years for us, 3 years for a bunch of other people. And it's those like relationships that we've developed on Instagram that kind of inspired me to like, I'm going to pursue comics now. I'm going to get into that because I'm sure we'll talk about it later, but I've been a screenwriter for so long.
Right.
And it was kind of like, felt like the right time to jump into comics. So
it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's so cool. Yeah. So before we get into that, again, I want to remind everybody, if you're not following Michael, his links are on the description below. Hit him up on Instagram, follow his Kickstarter, check out everything that he has going on. Any other channels that you have to plug, at the end of this, feel free to throw them in. I'll make sure to have all the links in the description if I'm missing any. But I'm pretty sure I got everything out there. I think I took your link, your Linktree link to throw in there too. So hopefully the folks can find you either way. And like I was saying, for people watching, whether you're here to check out the new book that Mike's promoting, or if you're here to talk comics with Mike, like you're at the right place, because Mike's the right guy for that. So before we get into it, let's say a quick hello. I see a couple people in the chat. My man Kevin, Entropy in Comics in the house. Hello, sir. Good to see you. Thanks for hanging out. And of course, we got this guy here, John from John's Comics with Kids. Going to be streaming with him here in about an hour over on JP's channel. We're talking Black Hammer. So as always, good to see you as well, John. Thanks for hanging out. if you guys are whether you're here now or if you're watching on the replay, take a moment, smash that like button as well if you haven't already. Hey, we also got my man Adam. Adam makes stuff up. What is up, Adam? Thanks for hanging out with us as well. All right, Mike. Let's get into this. So that let's start like you talked about being a screenwriter, and I knew that you had dabbled in a lot, or not dabbled, but you are involved in a lot of other things, not just comic book related stuff when it comes to writing. But when did the comic book aspect come into play, and how did that, like, what inspired that to come into play? Because you didn't start with that, right? I mean, other than being a reader, the writing side or the creative side, how did that take place?
Well, yeah, like the collecting side started when I was a toddler, and
Right.
anyone that follows me on Instagram on my 50 Cent comic collector account would know I had like my childhood collection stolen from me.
Yeah.
So that comics go way back for me, and that is a pivotal moment in my collecting history when I lost everything, and then months later decided to recollect. But the question was about you were more asking me, when did I want it to write comics, right? Yeah. So I've always been interested in it. I just didn't like understand. I think, as a kid thought you had to be an artist, even though I knew there was writer and artist, but I felt like the only way to get in was to be an artist. And then I didn't understand how writers broke in. It wasn't until I started to follow Jeff Johns over at DC back in the early 2000s, late 90s, like really like 1999, I think, or 2000. I got really into Jeff Johns.
Right.
And his run on The Flash in particular is what like kind of pushed me into writing. It inspired me to write. I was in film school and I was like, oh, maybe I'd be into like writing, because I was so into reading just what he was writing.
Wow.
But I still didn't know how to do it. And it wasn't until probably 2019 or so, 2020, somewhere in there, I was like, I want to find the right story for comics, and I want to do it now. And Armored had been kicking around in my head in different ways. I kept thinking about it as a movie, maybe a TV show. Nothing really fit because it's pretty big. Like the idea keeps expanding. If you ever get the chance to read past issue 5, the first arc, you'll see it just explodes.
Awesome.
And so I can get into more details if you want, but basically it was just a matter of me like finding the right project that was meant to be done in this medium.
Right.
And then just the first step, honestly, was I went back to all the comics I loved and studied the structure of each issue. Like the best first issues, my favorite first issues. I would read Absolute Editions. At the back, they provide like the scripts. I was studying the scripts. So that was how I jumped in. It was just head first. Like, let me study for a few months and then just do it.
Yeah, that's great. No, I mean, that's, and I mean, you mentioned, Jeff Johns, which I know we've talked about. You've certainly recommended a ton, especially from those 90s and everything else he's even done recently. Are there other influences that you feel might have played a role, even just whether it's comic book related or even not? I know, like I said, you're very much in the writing in general, that might have played a role in creating Armor, or just even giving you more of that I guess push to going forward with this project.
Yeah, like I think, I don't know if you're familiar with the writer Clive Barker. He's the creator of like the Hellraiser movies.
Oh, okay, yeah.
You know Hellraiser. So like I read a lot of his writing, and what I love about him is he doesn't choose just one medium. He's a novelist first.
Okay.
Then he went into filmmaking. Then he went into comics in the 90s with like Nightbreed and a whole bunch of other weird titles for, I think, Epic, or I forget what it is. He had like literally like an imprint through Marvel that was just Clive Barker books. And so I didn't, I think that had always been inspiring to me, like not just sticking to one medium. But there's nothing else really that I can, like, there's tons of writers. Like,
right, sure.
Spider-Man is the biggest influence on me. Spider-Man and Todd McFarlane's work on Spawn, like that stuff was huge for me.
Awesome.
Yeah, I would say that.
Love it. Love it. So, I mean, let's talk a little bit about the book itself. So I did get a chance, you had sent over PDF copy. Thank you for that. I really enjoyed it. And, how would you, how do you kind of kick this off in terms of, without giving everything away, but, just generally speaking, if, sharing with the folks that are watching, what is Armored about? why do you think people would be interested in this?
Well, okay, first, thank you for not canceling your Kickstarter pledge. Thank you for
Oh,
that.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
imagine you read it and you're immediately
Oh, and I'm
like,
like,
I gotta
pull out. Yeah.
take this back.
No, man, no, it's great. I enjoyed it. Yeah.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, it's essentially about a boy who's lost his parents. They've disappeared under mysterious circumstances.
Mhm.
And 2 years later, you know, he's been in the foster system for a while, but he's finally adopted by this couple whose son died under mysterious circumstances. And so the past 2 years, he's spent so much time trying to figure out what happened to his parents, bothering the police, bothering detectives,
Mm.
just trying to find out why did they disappear. And when he ends up with these new parents, he wants to find out what happened to their kid. And so he kind of goes on a mini quest he finds this castle nearby. This is set in Europe. He finds this castle nearby the house where the kid had died. And he's exploring it to find out what happened.
Right.
Because kids in the school don't believe he just it was everyone says it was an accident, and he doesn't think it's an accident either.
Right.
But while he's there exploring, he falls into this tomb, and in that tomb he discovers this device, and it basically opens up this magical armor, and it like takes over his body, and it basically grants him like superpowers.
Right.
But the catch is that it's haunted by the ghost who wore the armor hundreds of years ago, back in the 13th century.
Yeah.
And so that's it. Basically, the
Yeah.
ghost has to train him how to use the armor to defeat this potential thing that killed the boy.
Right.
And so yeah, that's it in a nutshell.
Dude, and I'll tell you, like, it has all the emotions. I mean, even just the first issue, all the emotions. I mean, you're dealing with death, you're dealing with mystery, monsters, and everything else. I mean, it's horror, very dark side. You have some good comedy in it though, too, that I appreciate, and it's in ways that I think are very much like just subtle, you know, and yet it hits. So and again, for anyone who, hopefully people watching get a chance, check this book out. Like I said, the Kickstarter link is in the description, but I really enjoyed the first issue, just the kind of the setup and the gist, and I could see what you mean, even the idea of like where this could go in a lot of different places. Even dealing with like some serious topics in like bullying and stuff like that, like some of the kids like not accepting this new kid and all this other stuff, and so I think you definitely are in a lot of different areas, but it all very much connects in a really strong way.
But even, like you touched on that bully thing, I even tried to make them a bit more dimensional, because they have a good reason. They feel like their friend who just died is being replaced. True. Like these parents are just like,
they're hurt.
Hey, we'll get a new kid,
Right.
So yeah, I tried to. It's dark, it's serious, but I tried to give it some levity at points, because we're dealing with death, children's death, so I'm trying to like
right.
I don't want people to be depressed the whole book. And my background is writing animated movies, kids movies. Like I have a kids movie out right now in theaters, and so
cool.
I have like a comedic bend to like what I write all the time. I can't help it. So
love it.
I have to infuse some of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Real quick, want to say hello to my man Nicholas, hanging out in the chat as well. Says digging the content, y'all. Appreciate it, man.
Cool.
It's really cool. I mean, overall, like I said, really enjoyed it. Tell me a little bit about the artists that you have, and just some of the team that was kind of working around this with you. I mean, is this the actual story and everything, I assume was your put together, but the artists and everything else, how did that kind of come about, when you were building this team?
Yeah, I'll try to keep it short. But basically, the story is that after I did all that studying on structure, because I know film structure really well, and I was like, well, I'm going to use that knowledge, but I want to write this as a comic. I want you to get to the end of issue 1 and be like, I want issue 2. I want you to read issue 2 and then be like, I want to read issue 3.
Keep it going.
Movies aren't shaped that way. It's not episodic, right? So, first thing I did was write issue 1, and a good friend of mine who I worked with in animation used to do Marvel comics. Like he was an artist for Marvel.
Oh, okay.
I think he did like big, those like Disney, like Disneyland books, like Rocky, the Railroad one. He did a Railroad one. He did a bunch of books for them, but I sent it to him being like, okay, if he hates it, then I'm dropping it now because this guy knows he's seen Marvel scripts come in.
Right.
And if he's like, hey, it's not bad, maybe I'll continue. And he was so into it, he wanted to do it. And I was like,
Cool.
yeah, I got an artist and he wants to
Yeah.
do it for free. This is amazing.
That's
But then,
that's huge too.
yeah. But then he had to drop out because
Mm,
comics doesn't pay well. It doesn't pay very well. So he was having a hard time, and I think
mm.
he just wanted to get like an art director gig in
Okay.
animation. I think he went on to Thomas the Tank Engine.
Oh, okay. Hey,
Do some
yeah.
art directing on that.
Sure. Do what you
And
gotta do.
he's since done many other shows. But after that, I was like, well, what do I do, Ty? His name's Ty Walker. And I was like, Ty, where do I go? And he's like, I don't know. I could reach out to some people. And he's
Yeah.
like, but he honestly had no answer for me. So I Googled, I literally said, where do I find comic artists?
Oh man, I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
So straightforward. Hey, this is the world we're in. So
It is. It's the world trend. And literally the first thing that pops up is a Facebook link to literally, I kid you not, it's a group called Connecting Comic Writers with Comic Artists.
oh
That's
my
all
god,
it
that's
is.
perfect. I mean, I guess it's no surprise, but like wouldn't like cross my mind to think that there's a group out there, but that I
Yeah.
mean it makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I know.
Yeah.
So it seems like it should exist, and it
Right.
does. So,
Right.
so from there, one of the first postings I saw was for an editor, a comic book editor, and the editor said, I'm an Eisner Award-winning writer. And I'm editing this book called The Golem of Venice Beach, and I don't know
Mm,
if he's popped up on your feed at all.
mm.
Golem of Venice Beach. That's literally his handle name before
Oh,
he
okay.
had a book.
Okay.
And so he popped up and he just started posting some cool comics. So I started following him. I think he did a contest. I was just like, who is this guy? But
Right.
then I connected the dots. This guy is making a book
Right.
with this editor. And so I reached out to him. I said, do you like your editor? And he's like, oh yeah, he's great. And so I then contacted the editor and I just asked him to read it. And if he didn't like it again, I was like, done,
Yeah.
not going forward. And
Right.
he liked it and I immediately hired him.
Oh wow.
So that's how it happened. I hired an editor.
Right.
And then he edited the first issue of the script, and then it came time to finding an artist. And he had, I think, seen Ishmael Hernandez, that's the artist on the book,
Yep.
pop up a few times, and we saw that he was getting a lot of attention. People were like, hey, you should go to Boom, you should go to IDW, like, man, why aren't you working right now? And
Right.
Chris was like, do you want him? Because this is the time.
Yeah. This is the time. Yeah, it's true.
And so we immediately
Wow.
jumped at that opportunity because his
wow.
artwork is so, I don't know, there's something so unique about it. It's all done by hand. He paints every page. He
So cool.
pencils it, inks it, and then watercolors it. So it's not like, I love digital art. I collect Marvel, I collect DC, I collect indie stuff, but this was just slightly different and had a different tone to it,
Yep.
And so we
That's so
jumped
cool.
at that chance, and that's how it happened, really.
Wow. It's crazy, man, that things kind of aligned in a way that you kind of had to go around in a way, like it wasn't just like this, necessarily this straightforward, like, contact this person type thing. But
man,
like,
everything connects back to Instagram. I'm telling you, Instagram. For me, it's like this wouldn't exist without Instagram.
Right.
Even talking to you, I remember talking to you, being like, "Hey, I got this script, but I don't know." And I think you're just like, "I'm busy. I'm so busy. I don't know."
Yes, I do remember you bringing that up.
Yeah.
Yep. I never got around, but I remember you like talking about you were starting to build into this, and
that was
putting
really
stuff
early
together.
days too. And the script changed a lot from there. So thank God you did.
Oh, really? Oh man, that's wild. Well, I have to say, like, Ishmael's artwork, absolutely gorgeous. I mean, beautiful stuff. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but you'll have like a deal too with Kickstarter where he had some art that he had kind of attached.
Yeah.
Book,
right? I think there's 2 left from issue 1.
Okay.
And 4 like original pages. It's pages. It's actual pages. And this is like the legit. This is it. And I saw him. I didn't know that was happening. We'll get into the Kickstarter, I'm sure, at some point, but I didn't know he would be giving some artwork away. Right. And so I immediately contacted him being like, can I buy some from you before you start selling it to everyone else? Because it's honestly like, seeing a painting in a museum. It like, you'll also see when you get the comic, like there's nice, perfectly white lines around everything. When you see the original art,
Yeah.
it's just wherever that the watercolors bleeds to, and
Yeah.
it's beautiful stuff. Yeah.
That's so cool, man. Yeah. Shout out to Ishmael because yeah, he had some really cool work. I got to make sure that I'm following him over on Instagram.
Yeah, he hasn't been posting a lot, but that's because
Okay, yeah, that's all right.
he's trying to finish issue 5 right now. So
That makes sense. That
it
makes
takes
sense.
him 2 months to do an issue.
I
So
believe it. Yeah, wow.
it's
That's
intensive. Yeah.
sure, sure, sure.
Yeah.
Well, kudos to him and yeah, glad that everything had worked out. You, your editor, like like I said, things kind of just aligned. So yeah, really excited for you, man. And
Thank you.
can
Thank you.
you
Yeah.
can you hold the book up there?
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh,
This
and so how'd you yeah, you want to tell me about how you got that or you mentioned a
Yeah, here,
story?
I'll open it up. This is
Yeah,
like
please do.
I
Please do.
only have 2 copies. So the only reason we have a printed copy, we
Yeah,
normally wouldn't. Like, everyone reads, like, the digital copy. Here, I'll try to
right.
show you. This isn't, like,
Yeah, I'm gonna
perfect yet either.
there you go. Yeah. Yeah.
So you'll get a
Nice.
sense of the book.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anyway, this one. So there's the Jay Lee cover.
So sick. It's great.
Um, so the reason this was printed was for R.L. Stein.
Oh,
So I don't know if you've
like,
seen on
I saw the quote. Yes,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
saw like
yeah.
the or he had given you a what do you call that?
Like a quote, yeah, basically a
Yeah,
quote,
like a quote.
or
Yeah.
yeah, an endorsement
Yep.
of the book.
Yep.
So I'd written a movie based on one of his books, and I met him over Zoom. He was supposed to be in the movie, like in a
Oh, cool.
cameo,
Right. Right.
but he couldn't do it. He couldn't fly in on the day of, so
Mm,
he was like, "I still want to be in it. Can I just Zoom?" And so the director and I got to meet him, and we had to rewrite like scene after scene to try to make it work.
yeah.
And so he's in it. It's like a little tag at the end, but
Right.
I think it was like months later. I just posted on Instagram on my personal account. I also have a personal account. I have too many Instagram accounts. There's only 2 that you guys should really care
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I had a personal one where I post pictures of my kids and stuff. And
Right.
I just tagged them saying like, this was amazing meeting, a childhood hero of mine.
Yeah.
And he said, thanks. I wish I could have been there. And then I was like, when it came time to the Kickstarter, like we were planning for the Kickstarter and stuff, I was like, maybe if I message him on Instagram, maybe he'll message back. I
Yeah.
didn't know, right? I
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
know him.
Right.
Like, I met him once. So I messaged him, and I heard nothing. And
Yeah.
then I kid you not, like a week later, or maybe it was only a few days, I get this message. It says, "Hi, Michael. Yes, I remember you.
Oh,
Please send to this address." And I was like, holy fuck. It's already starting.
that's awesome. Yeah, holy crap. And because I think about like celebrities and anyone who might have a massive following or just really well known, you think that they must get so many messages per day. And like
Oh,
you
yeah.
just picture like, it gets so buried anyways that and I know it's like settings where you can like block all that stuff. So I would be wondering too, like, would he ever see it? Like,
I know.
like,
Yeah.
and it's surprising that it's like days later or a week later. It's pretty wild.
I know it was pretty wild. But then when he sends you that message with his address, his home address,
Sure. Yeah.
you're not going to be like, "Hey, I only have a PDF copy. Can you read the PDF?"
Right. Right. Right.
So
I see.
I
Yeah.
ended up, telling the publisher, I'm like, "We need copies made," and
Yeah.
so it was like a scramble to get. Like, I think they've only printed a few, so this is the most rare edition. I call it the R.L. Stein edition. So
Yeah. Heck
I
yeah.
got 2 copies. I'm thinking maybe I'll do something with one of them at some point if the
That
book
would be cool.
becomes big, maybe a giveaway or something if people
Absolutely.
like it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we did it. We sent it out, and yeah, that's how that happened.
That's
And then
so cool, man.
when I sent it, I didn't hear from him. I was like, "Oh no!" I was messaging him being like, "Did you get it?"
Crickets, crickets.
Yeah, Again, it was like a week later. He dropped me with this quote that I was like, "Holy shit!"
Oh, that's really nice. That's
Yeah.
really nice of him.
Cool.
So cool, man. I mean, I grew up with a lot of his stuff for, just as a kid. Some of the
Goosebumps
horror
and
stuff,
stuff.
the
Yeah,
Goosebumps, yeah. So that's really neat. I mean, that name obviously just ringing a bell. So,
yeah.
very cool, very cool. So tell me a little bit more about like the Kickstarter stuff. Let the people know. I mean, I've done a little digging on my own, as I mentioned, signing up and everything. But how can one or what should one look for when
Yeah.
they're checking out the link and some of the options and things?
Yeah, like I have to say I'm really like fortunate.
Mm.
I've backed a bunch of Kickstarters in the past. I've done it for movies. I've done it
Oh,
for
yeah. Other
novels,
projects. Yeah.
hardcover books, whatever. But
Yeah.
I didn't really know what went into it. Like I
Right.
didn't, and I feel
Oh,
like it's a whole
being on the
culture.
creator side. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know,
Mm.
and I was fortunate that my editor helped me find a publisher, and
Nice.
we went with like a publisher that had done a lot of like coffee table art books. Like they
Oh, okay.
um, they have a bunch coming out that are like in association with Marvel. So like a David Mack art book that's just
Oh,
Marvel
sweet.
art of David Mack,
Ooh.
or Alex Maleev. They have an Alex Maleev book,
Oh,
you know,
that's
like
sick. Yeah.
really, really nice books. And so they do comics too. They did the Golem of Venice Beach, that one that I was telling you about, that full
Yep.
circle.
Yep.
So they did that. That was a graphic novel though. And I was adamant. I was like, I want single issues because that's what I collect. I collect graphic novels too, but to me,
Right.
I'm like, I want to just have one issue. And
Yep.
then you're like, oh, I got to wait a month for the next one, you know?
Right. 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 Right.
And they were totally on board. Like as soon as they saw the first, I think it was first 2 or 3, they were like, oh yeah, we know what he's doing here.
Right.
And
Right.
and so that was awesome. What was the question again? I've already forgotten. I went off. Oh, the Kickstarter.
Just
Kickstarter.
yeah. Just
Okay.
generally kind of,
Oh
what's
my god.
expected or
Oh
what are
yeah,
some things.
they that's all them. The
Yeah.
Kickstarter's them, and I I feel like I would be
I see.
stressed out of my mind. I have so much
Oh, yeah.
appreciation for the people that do their own Kickstarters because
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
so much goes into it.
I bet.
And so on that, you can, we have multiple variants. Like
Okay.
issue 1 has 4 variant covers. I think the main will be Jay Lee's.
Yep.
And then we have a Scott Collins cover. I brought aboard a horror artist. Like I'm kind of part of the horror community here in Toronto, and I
Yep.
asked a horror artist I knew to do 5 covers. They're the portrait covers. It's just like the helmet
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
first issue. In the second one, it's the ghost. And if you go to Rue Morgue, they've actually revealed the first 5 issues of his portrait.
Oh. Oh, cool. Nice.
Yeah. So any horror fan should head over there. And then what was the other one that we did? So we had Scott, Jay, and Nick Patera. So I don't know if you're familiar with like the Manhattan Projects that
Uh,
Jonathan Hickman wrote them.
okay.
Wrote
Oh,
that
wow. Okay.
series.
I've
Yeah.
never like read them, but yeah, I kind of
Yeah. I think they're like super critically acclaimed books,
Yeah.
And Jonathan Hickman like kind of plucked Nick Patera, out
Mm.
as like his artist back
Oh,
then.
cool.
And so Nick's an amazing artist. He has his own book that he I don't think he did it on Kickstarter, but he crowdfunded, called Axe Wielder John.
Okay.
And my editor edited his book, and so he gave my book to Nick.
Right.
And Nick was the first person that was just like, I'm doing covers. Like
Oh.
he's already said, hey, look, it's Read Your Comics.
Hey, Daryl.
Man.
So, dude.
Yeah, Nick Patera was like such an important part of the puzzle as well, because
Yeah.
he loved it. He's already said, he said, I want to draw this one character. There's a character that's introduced at the end of the first arc, and he's like, I'm drawing that character.
Oh, cool.
So
Nice.
once we got him aboard and he did a cover, that's kind of how we got Clover. Like he's been so supportive. He's helped with the campaign. He's been like, honestly, I can't thank him enough.
Wow.
And then from there, it was just like sharing it with other creators and seeing if they'd be interested. Like I reached out to Scott Collins because he was on the Flash that I was so into back in the day. And when he said yes, I was like, oh my God, yes.
Yeah, that's huge,
awesome.
man. It's so wild.
Yeah. And it's weird. I've reached out to some other creators that, they haven't responded, but I'm guessing they get inundated every day. And you just hope someone will notice and
give you a shot.
I was hoping I could announce it on here, but I can't. But we just locked in another artist. I'm close. It's happening probably tomorrow. But
okay, cool.
We do have another artist, and it's a big artist.
Cool.
Done a lot of Marvel work.
Nice.
Yeah, created characters even in the Marvel universe. So yeah,
sweet.
I'm super excited about that. That'll be for the next campaign, which will likely be 3-4 or 3-4-5 or whatever. We'll see what happens in the next couple days.
Yeah. Heck yeah, man.
Anyways, so you can buy 4 covers. There's like a foil cover, there's a chromium cover, there's a 3D cover. We went crazy with issue 1, and then issue 2, which is an add-on. I think we have like a foil cover and then 4 variants as well. We went nuts with variant covers. I think it was just because so many artists were like all of a sudden interested in doing it that it was like Chrissy Zulo does a cover for us.
I was excited to see that one.
Yeah, that one's nice. I love that one.
She's awesome.
And then I even have like an artist from my animation days. I brought him over.
Oh, nice. He
worked on like Aladdin, Lion King.
Wow.
Like this is like classic animation artist that I brought on board. He did a painted cover. It's the night like jumping into like the creature's face. I don't know if
Oh,
you
that's
you know
yeah,
that one.
that's
Yeah,
sick.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh man. I was gonna ask like how you came about getting these art, like were they random artists, or did you have to like what that process was, if you went around asking essentially,
Yeah.
is how it went down.
I
Okay.
I like the horror guy reached out myself.
Hmm.
Jeff Dixon is the Disney guy I worked with.
Hmm.
And then Jay came from my editor. Jay and my editor had worked together previously, and it was one of those things where it's like we could see if he's interested in it. We could see if it resonates with him. You
Yeah,
don't know what people will like,
sure.
and he was into it. And his cover just once he sent like the tiniest little sketch of like like a portion of it, and I
Right.
was like, oh my god,
Yeah, you're like, yes. I mean, yeah, it's got to be so much. It's got to be so exciting to know that others are not just on board, but are like legit excited about a certain character, about the look or feel or the vibe that they're giving to your story, to your cover, to the thing that ties around, the creation of what you had come up with as from a writing standpoint. So
yeah, yeah. Like even Chrissy, that was my editor, knew her, and oh god, when yeah, see, he's a huge fan. Here's an example. Like he loves the character of Tamina, the girl
yeah, yeah,
in the book, and
yep.
um, the he was like, I love her. You need to like make a cover of her or whatever. And
Yeah,
I
yeah,
was like,
yeah.
well, let's get Chrissy to do it. She'd
Right.
like kill it. And I have like in the second arc, which would be like 6 to 10,
Yeah.
depending on how we number it. We're still deciding if we're gonna go back to one or what
Oh,
we're gonna
okay.
do. But if
Sure,
we
sure.
in the second arc, I have a huge story for her. So I was like, just wait, Chris. She's gonna have a huge story soon. Don't worry. But he's always like, bring
Nice, nice.
Tamina back.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, like just hearing the passion or just how much they're into something, it's got to feel so good, like
Yeah,
of a
honestly,
character that you had made.
I'm just so happy people are just liking it. I just want
Yeah,
people to read it at this point. I'm like, just buy one
sure.
issue, buy the PDF. I don't care.
Give it a shot. Right,
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
right. Yeah,
And if you
absolutely,
can't
man.
afford it, once all this is settled and it's out, I'll
Right.
send you a PDF.
Yeah,
Whatever.
yeah, 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 yeah. We'll make it work. We'll make it work. No, that's awesome, man. I'm really excited for you. Like I said, for anyone who is exploring or wanting to learn a little bit more of this. Hopefully, some of this has kind of opened the door. And like I said before, all the links are in the description below. Check out the Kickstarter. Check out all the cool covers. Read the description, everything that this is all about, all the different items that you can get that come along with it. I sure have taken that time to dig through a lot of it. So and I genuinely mean it when I say I really enjoyed the first issue. So
Cool. Thanks, man.
as long as this as soon as this thing launch, when do you have a launch date? When is the actual launch date?
Like when it'll be in everyone's hands,
Hmm.
basically. Like, okay, so
For issue one.
it says on the Kickstarter, issue one is January, issue two is February. And I
Mm-hmm.
know that's just a worst case scenario. We want
Oh,
to
got it.
get it in people's hands ASAP. It's
Soon.
all
Okay,
done.
cool.
The
Okay.
books are done. Like
Okay, got it.
it's just about printing. But there's been so many printing problems,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
so many things.
Especially
So
recently. Yeah.
they just wanted to like have a bit of a buffer in case that they can't hit like say October. I think
Right.
we want to get it to people by November. It would be
Cool.
the goal. And we had a bit of a weird Kickstarter thing where when you add on two, it like doubled your shipping. They're now offering like a rebate. Like
Mm,
once a survey comes out, you can ask to bundle it together and you won't be charged double shipping. So they'll
cool.
rebate you that money.
Nice.
Um, so the plan is to get it both copies in people's hands before the year ends for sure.
Nice.
And
Okay.
then we'll do a new campaign with a new amazing artist on one of
Right.
the next issues. Probably 3, 4, and 5 would be the next campaign is our guess, but
Nice.
we'll see what happens. I don't know. It's
Yeah.
Clover. It's Clover's book as well. We have to
Right. Right.
figure it out together. Yeah.
Cool. Very cool, man. I'm excited for you, man. That's awesome. It's right around the corner then. So
Yeah, yeah, it is.
uh
I want people to get it like now. I'm like, just
right,
print it
right.
now. Get it to
Yeah,
them.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Get it out there. Give the people what they want, dang
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
A couple of comments here in the chat want to highlight real
Yeah, yeah.
quick. So we got Eddie Rodriguez hanging out. What's going on, Eddie? He said you could turn a couple of these moments into YouTube shorts. He says there's so many gems being dropped right now. That's really
Oh,
nice of you to say, Eddie. And
cool.
perhaps I'll do that. I do need to get more into the shorts game for YouTube for sure. So yeah, maybe that's something I'll get started on. But thank you for hanging out and tuning in.
Yeah.
Daryl said he can't wait. He said he'll do a flip through promptly. Very
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
Very good.
I'm looking forward to that. That's the one I'm looking forward to, Daryl.
Yeah. Nice, nice. And Adam says, oops, he says, and printer ink is like the most valuable substance on the planet right now. Yeah, I mean, a lot of it seems like a lot of materials just in general are hard to you know, are running short in general. So
Yeah, yeah.
uh hey, we got my man Kenneth Bird in the chat as well. Hello to you, sir.
Hey,
Hope you're
Kenneth.
doing well.
Oh,
So
yeah. Do you mind if I just throw one thing out there about the
not at
Kickstarter?
all.
Yeah, we
Not at all.
just did they just sent out an update tonight too. I also got these stickers printed for anyone that's backed it. You're just getting a sticker, and anyone new that backs it gets a sticker.
Oh,
It's
nice.
really cool. It's like a trading card size, but it's like foil on the tight. It's the Jay Lee cover.
Okay.
And it's got like this metallic finish on the armored, and then the sword is metallic. The eyes are metallic. It looks really, really cool.
Oh,
I could not take a good picture of it though. It looked like
Oh, it's
crap.
probably hard to. Yeah, I can see that.
Just
Yeah.
trust me, it's a cool sticker.
Looks better in hand. Looks better.
Yeah,
in
yeah,
hand. And very cool. Very cool. I want to throw a couple of. I know I'd mentioned before. Usually with the show, I like to also jump into some rapid fire questions as well.
Yeah.
Some are comic related, some are completely not, but it's really more to get to know you a bit more. So is there anything else that you wanted to mention here before I kind of jump into that stuff that we didn't cover, or anything that you wanted to mention here?
Not at all. Like, no.
Okay,
Let's see what you got. You throw it
All
at
right,
me.
cool.
And if
All right, yeah.
anyone in the comments, they want to throw out stuff later, or if
Yeah,
we have time, yeah.
No, absolutely. Yeah. If anybody has any questions for Mike, please leave it in the comment section.
Especially,
we'll throw it
especially
up.
when it comes to like, indie comics and like creating your own comic. Like, I'm happy to talk about that stuff. I would talk to Jason Douglas about it constantly because he had done some Kickstarters. I talk to people about it all the time. So
actually, that before we get into the rapid fire, that is one other question I want to ask you was, and I like to ask this as a from where you stand right now as a comic book creator. You're in this process of doing this right now. Obviously, like you said, I mean, there's hundreds of thousands of other creators, whether they're artists or writers or all sorts of things, that are trying to get into this industry just as a whole. Based on your experiences currently, what you've been going through over the past 4 or 5 years, do you have any advice for someone else who might just be like barely scratching the surface of tempting to jump into doing kind of what you're doing right now, or even whether you're artist, writer, or whatever standpoint you're coming from? Anything that comes to mind to you that you've already learned so far off the bat that you would like just give as a piece of advice to somebody brand new?
My biggest advice, and it's the advice I give to people like wanting to break into film, is just like, if you're a writer, just write what you want to write. So like, just do it. The hardest part about, and finish it. People will start and never finish. I see screenwriters all the time who literally are like, oh, I have like 20 the scripts that I've written, and I only got to page 10. And it's like, finish it. Don't be precious. And that's the same with like comics. If you're a writer, I would just try writing a script. Look at the take out from the library some of the books and look at the scripts that are included, and just try to copy it, try to like come up with your own. And then if you're an artist, just do it. To me, it's just do it, because if you don't do it, you'll never do it, and you'll regret not doing it. So
absolutely, no, that's so true, man. Well said too. I mean, and you certainly can apply that to a lot of different things, whatever it is you're trying to do. And I've been there before for sure, to just have these ideas but never really even give it a shot per se.
Oh man, I've had ideas. It's like YouTube channel. I've always wanted to do what you're doing, and I just never did it. I was like, I'm not gonna do it.
You got to do it, man. You got to do it. No, I love that. Thank you for that advice. I like to, again, I know, I mean, from my standpoint, at least from what I know that people watch my channel, I know that there are a lot of people out there who are just, like I said, dipping their toes in, one, either just getting into comics, or two, getting into the creator side of it as well. So I like to always ask that question. Daryl asked a question here. He says, are you not part of the writer's strike? Is that just U.S. writers?
Yeah, I'm okay. So I'm a Canadian. So anybody that sees me like promoting like my movie or my comic and stuff, I am Canadian, and I'm non-union too. I've been in animation, especially in Canada, feature animation does not ever cross over to the guilds. Like and when I do, I am involved like with the guild. It's with the Writers Guild of Canada, who's not on strike. They're supporting, and I support the writer's strike 100%. I just quickly want to get this out because it is an important thing.
Sure.
Like I think I've mentioned to you, I work in VFX too, right? I've worked on like Walking Dead. I've worked on tons of shows. I have to have that job in order to be a writer. It's hard to make a living being a writer. It is really, really difficult. I did it for a few years, but you really have to hustle, and you have to also be lucky. There's some luck to it as well.
Sure.
And so I know what they're fighting for, and if they get it, then it will help everyone. But it's really, really hard. So I'm affected by the strike because I was in VFX, but now there's no work in VFX because every show is shut down. So I really hope the writers win this fight in the end because it would just help any creator really.
Sure. Yeah, no, it's a great point, and I remember you mentioning that a few days ago, and it's crazy right now. Daryl, thank you, man, for the
thanks,
question.
No, that's a good question.
Yeah. All right, let's jump into a little bit of the rapid fire. And again, anybody watching, whether you're watching now or on the replay, remember to check out Mike's information. It's all in the description below. So check out the Kickstarter for Armored coming out soon, and just hit him up over on Instagram if you haven't already. All right, so some random stuff. First of all, I mean, I feel like I genuinely don't know the answer to this question. Now, I call this a rapid fire question, or segment, by the way. So, and my wife always teases me because it ends up never being rapid, but we'll try to stick to the rapid as much as possible. Although I will probably say, please elaborate, on like random things. But like first and foremost, I mean, of all the, I know you read Marvel, I know you read DC, but if there's like if you just had to choose one character based on comics that is your absolute favorite, like who is that to you?
I think I always go back to the Flash, even though I'm not reading him right now. It's the Flash, but it's a tie with Spider-Man.
Okay.
And Spider-Man is that's what my dad read me, right? Like
he grew up.
He read me Amazing Fantasy 15 to issue 100 when I was younger. So
Fair.
Yeah, there you go. I'm trying to keep it short. I'm like,
no, you nailed it. I wanted to highlight this. Adam said manuscripts stay uncompleted because people are afraid that their finished work won't be well received. You have to give yourself permission to not be great on your first attempts. Well said, Adam. Definitely very true.
And on your second, third, you never know.
True. Yeah.
And the thing I've learned is people may hate something that you've done, and they'll talk horribly about it on Twitter, on Instagram, whatever.
Right.
And there's always another person who loves it, right?
Yeah.
Like
you do it for them. You're doing it for them.
I'm doing it for them. I apologize. I'm going on a rant here, but
no, you're good.
I wrote No Malone, which is a Netflix movie, and when that came out, Twitter was just like, "What is this garbage? I thought this was a Christmas movie, with gnomes," and it's like, "Oh my god, this is painful." But then months later, I'm getting messages. My kid won't stop watching No Malone. My kid loves No Malone, and to me that was like, yes, the kid loved it.
Absolutely, 100%.
I haven't done this at all until a few days ago. I just went on Twitter and searched No Malone, and I see someone being like, "Do you guys remember that movie No Malone? I grew up watching it, and man, that movie's still awesome." And I'm like, "Yes, that kid is now 13 and loves it."
That's so cool, man. That's so cool. Yeah, I mean, it's just the general idea of like, you're gonna have haters, you're gonna have people in your corner, and it's like you got to just do the thing for the people that have your back and the people who are into it or into whatever it is that you're doing in life.
Totally.
Like, and not worry about.
There's so many mistakes in the early scripts that I wrote and stuff. Like there's stuff I'm like embarrassed by, but you can only get better by all the mistakes you made. It's
very true. Yeah. Very true. You got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
Adam, thanks, man, for that comment. That was awesome. All right, next question for you. If you could have one superpower, what would that be?
Ooh. I don't know. Flight, I guess. Let's go with flight.
So it's so funny. Everyone I ask on, and I always bring this up too. If they say flight, I think the answer for flight is going for about 40% of my guess right now. So
Really? Okay.
yeah, a good, almost half of people said jump to flight. Which I mean, look, I mean, flight's awesome. The idea of
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
you'd save a ton on gas. You can go anywhere in the world. Like, there's so many, obviously cool things about it. So it's just funny that it's definitely a popular
That's
ability.
such an unoriginal answer. I should have
No,
said.
no, no. Too many people though. Then you're gonna have traffic up there. You're gonna need lights in the sky, like all this other crazy stuff. All right, next question. Name an artist that you would love to work with on a comic book one day, if you could choose anybody.
Oh, anybody.
We'll say anybody alive.
Imagine
Anybody
Alex
alive.
Ross. Wouldn't that be
Yeah.
amazing?
Dude, I mean,
Yeah, my dream was always Scott Collins from his work
yeah,
in DC, for sure.
yeah.
There's so many. You're like stumping me a little. I haven't had to think about that. That's a oh god, that's a tough one. You know what? Let's go with easy choice, McFarlane. Let's do that.
There you go.
Yeah,
Heck
yeah,
yeah, man.
yeah.
Heck yeah.
Canadian.
Absolutely, man. Hey, and he's still going strong. So
Yeah, he doesn't do interiors though.
No,
Remember
not
when
as much. Yeah,
Kirkman brought him back to do Haunt, and it was like, oh
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I see my man Mark in the chat. What's going on, brother? He says, "What's up, fellas? I normally have a ton of questions. Yes, you do, sir." He says I should be just as co-host, perhaps one day, man. He said I'll watch the rewind because writers are fascinating. You guys are the genesis for TV, movies, and comics. Well said,
Awesome.
Mark. Well
Thanks,
said.
Mark.
Thanks for sticking by, man.
Yeah.
All right, another question here before we wrap up. Let's see. Oh, what's the last comic book that you read? Like literally.
Oh shit. Alpha Flight, the new one.
The new one? Oh, nice. Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
that one. I had to read that one. I've been really busy because it's the Toronto Film Festival right now, so I'm out every
Okay.
single day.
Oh,
But
man.
I one night I was home early and I picked that up and that got me. That ending. Did you read it?
Yes, I was gonna say I did not know what to expect. My expectations were low. I was like, I don't know. Like, I haven't read the original Alpha Flight. I would like to
Okay.
one day, and there's no knock against them. I just haven't gotten into it yet, and I didn't know much about him, so I'm like, okay, well, other than the little tie-ins of X-Men and stuff, but I was like, I'll give this a shot, and I loved the book. I thought it was way better than I thought I was going to.
I was blown away too. I hadn't
Yeah,
had an Alpha Flight book do that for me in a long time.
yeah.
It was
That's
a
awesome.
really, really good ending.
Nice.
That's an example of what I wanted to do. Was like, oh, I want to read the next one immediately.
You're hooked. Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Which I think is coming out soon. I don't think this week, maybe next week. I think the next
good. Okay.
episode is coming out soon because Iceman's coming out this week, and that's been a same
Oh
time.
yeah.
But cool, man. That's very cool. That was your last one. Let's see. Next question here. Favorite comic book based film?
Oh, so like, can I pick a Marvel movie? Is that? Yeah. Endgame or no, Infinity War.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. Dude, that's a toss up for me, and I really call them part one, part two, in a sense.
Yeah.
But
So
like,
part one.
but yeah, no, legit, because I mean, it's like I just remember in theater how that was, right? Like, I don't know if you had a chance to see it in theater, but like how dark and gloomy it was walking out of the theater, and everybody was stunned and just like. Spoilers for anybody who hasn't watched it, even though it's been years now. Just like
honest,
yeah. Like some people disappear.
Honestly, that one is the one that I rewatched the most. I study it for like writing as well.
Oh,
I think it's like
that's a good idea.
Really.
I wouldn't even cross my mind that you do for that.
Yeah,
so
I love
cool.
it. Just the way it's structured is perfection. Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, some non-comic book related stuff real quick here before we wrap up, and appreciate everybody watching. Are you a sports guy? And if you are, what's your favorite sport? Who's your favorite team if you have them?
Okay, my favorite sport would be basketball. Just to like, I'm not a big sports guy, but like, my wife and I love going to Raptors games here in Toronto.
Oh, nice.
That's what we do a lot. And then baseball would be second.
Yeah.
I played baseball when I was younger, but it never really stuck with me. So yeah, Blue Jays then. There you go.
There you go. Okay. All right. They're in the running.
Yeah.
What about where do you stand with music? Like do you have a favorite genre? And if so, do you have like an artist, like number one artist that's just or creator or band that's like just your absolute, like, you love them?
Yeah. I got a few. I'm just gonna throw out three. I'm like into industrial alternative music, but so there's an old 80s Canadian band called Skinny Puppy.
Okay.
There's a band called The Faint out of Omaha that I love. I've seen both like 6 times in concert, and
Nice.
a Canadian band called Austra I'm really into
Ooh,
as well. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
ooh, all right.
And maybe a bit of Taylor Swift here and there.
All right. Hey, yeah. I mean, we all have a little bit of that in.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Nice, nice. I dig it. I dig
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
Let's see. What about you have any pets?
I had a dog. He passed away last year, actually.
Oh man, I'm so sorry to hear that.
Yeah, yeah. He was old though. He was
Yeah.
16-year-old Pomeranian. Yeah.
Whoa, that's a long life. That's 16's. Yeah,
Yes.
they're
Yeah.
wow. We have 2 pits right now, and I mean they're
Oh,
they're
wow.
getting up there. They're 10, 9 and 10 years old, so they're
Yeah, those are good ages, you know?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
They're
yeah.
still
It's
going strong.
hard. It's hard when they get old. To
Yeah,
me, that was like, oh,
yeah, 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 yeah.
broke me. Yeah.
Let's see. You had mentioned concerts or you mentioned you saw a couple bands. Do you have a concert you recall being like your favorite experience ever? Just in,
Well, yeah, any Skinny Puppy concert.
yeah.
People look it up. We look up Skinny Puppy,
Okay.
guys.
Yeah, so
You'll
I was
see.
gonna say, I think I can't. I don't know their music, but I used to work at a
It's
CD
weird.
store for years, and I feel
Yeah.
like I've seen their name, their CDs like out.
Yeah, like Nine Inch Nails was heavily inspired by them, right?
Oh,
Like
okay.
Marilyn
Yeah.
Manson even like ripped off like some of his shows were like a total rip off of Skinny Puppy shows.
Okay.
So but their music's weird. It's not for everyone. It's
Sure.
barely for me sometimes. I'm like,
Yeah.
it's weird. But they're having their very final tour. Like they're old dudes now, but
Yeah.
like check it out on YouTube. It's like
Yeah.
performance art on stage.
Oh yeah. Cool. Okay.
You know, like even like a band like Ghost, right? Like
Yeah. 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 I love
you know, they
those.
put on a big performance. Like Skinny
Yeah.
Puppy was doing it real like in the
Yeah.
early 80s, like
Oh,
really
sweet.
cool stuff. Like
I
stories.
I
Yeah.
was gonna say a lot of the metal bands I listen to, I feel like have something to that effect of yeah, not just random let's jam out or whatever, but like there's a story behind our performance here, and
Yeah, yeah,
there's an atmosphere, an environment that they build around them
yeah.
with their stage and everything else, and
So
yeah,
Skinny Puppy's on their final tour, and their very last show in Toronto was literally down the street from me. So that was,
oh,
I have to
nice.
say, it might not have been their best show, but to me, it'll be the
Sure,
most memorable. Yeah,
yeah, that's incredible, so cool, cool, man.
yeah,
All right, I'm gonna wrap up here with one more question, and I always like to end with this. This is good because it's later in the evening for me, so I hopefully won't be affected too much by the thought of it. Let's talk about food here for a second.
yeah.
What
Okay.
is if it was just a Friday night, and you and the family, it's your choice. You get to call it for dinner, whether you want to go out to eat, you want to stay inside and cook something, you want to order in. Like, what's your go-to meal for you and the family? If you got to choose and you had anything, money wasn't an option. Like, what comes to mind for you?
It's a tie between sushi and Thai food. Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah,
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 yeah, yeah.
nice.
My
I like both.
son's
I like
my
both.
son's who's 5, he loves sushi, so
Nice. Oh,
it's
nice. He's 5, you
fine.
said?
He's 5. He eats
Oh
so much
man, that's so sweet.
sashimi. Yeah.
Really? Okay.
The
Oh,
daughter
wow.
hates it though.
Dude, I
So
feel like I didn't get into sushi till I was like a full adult. Like I, I don't know. I just like was behind on the times. I don't
my
know how.
wife
Yeah.
introduced me to sushi when we were in university. I'm
Oh,
like, I
okay. So
didn't
there you
even
go. Yeah.
know.
Right, right. So I'm with you, man. I think it
Yeah.
took me at least till I was like 18, 19, 20 years old till
I know
till I
this
really give
this
it a shot.
kid will just sit there with like other adults sometimes, you know, and
Right,
be like,
right.
"Oh, I like the tuna, I like the butterfish," you know.
He probably knows more than me then, man. I'll tell you. He's like a regular at the store when they
He
come in.
probably is, yeah.
Mr. Schwartz, hello. That's great. That's cool. Very cool, man. So we're getting to the end of the hour here. I want to thank for everybody that jumped in. Thank you all for hanging out. Mike, I want to thank you, man, for coming on board here, reaching out to me to make this all happen. I am seriously very excited for you for where this comic book goes, Armored. I'm curious to see what happens next, just for my own personal, where this story goes.
Yeah.
You've been an awesome person in the comic book community, the Instagram community, and just it's been so nice, like getting to know you over the years. Just talking comics with you, reading books based on your suggestions or vice versa.
Yeah.
It's been awesome. So this may be your first time on the channel here, but it certainly won't be your last. I'll have to have you on again, whether it's to talk more Armored or even if we just talk about a book that came out, we could talk about Alpha 2 or something. I don't know.
That'd be awesome. Yeah.
Anything, but this was great, man. So I
No,
really appreciate your time.
honestly, the feeling's mutual, man. Like, thank you so much.
Absolutely.
And thanks to everyone that watched. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're watching the replay, again, thanks for everybody who's stuck it out and watched this. And if there's if you're looking to connect with Mike, make sure you do so. The information's in the description below. Go check out the Kickstarter, the page over there, all the different options you can pick from. I will say I'm new with Kickstarter. Like I've always known about Kickstarter. I've never signed up before, so this was my first time just going out of my way to sign up and have an account and everything else.
Oh, cool.
And it's cool, and it's dangerous because it's like suggested like other things, like, oh, if you like comics, here's 20 other comic creators that are coming out with new projects, check them out. I'm like, oh, that artwork looks cool. Like,
I know, I got into it, and I do feel like once you get in, it's like you can't stop a little bit.
Like, that's the last thing I need. My wife, if she watches this, she's gonna be like like it's the comics and it's the Legos, now it's gonna be Kickstarter, like what is this, like
sorry, Miss No Good.
yeah I'm in the middle of this right now.
This
shield. I'm like a little more than halfway done, but it's just I had to show that off.
I like read your comics. We'll do flash read. We should do that.
There you go. Heck yeah. After Daredevil, he and I doing a couple more Daredevil breakdowns of Frank Miller stuff we're dabbling in right now, and we got to schedule that, Daryl. We'll talk soon. So Daryl's actually going to be live with me on this next show that I'm jumping onto over at JP Budget Collecting, his channel. So if anybody's interested in wanting to talk a little Black Hammer, jump over to JP's channel. It'll be me, JP, Daryl, and John from John's Comics with Kids. So we'll do our usual, and we're breaking down Visions Volume 2 for Black Hammer. So we're getting through it. So again, Mike, thanks again, man. We'll, like I said, we'll plan some stuff here eventually, but looking forward to the rest. I wish you all the best with your project, and I hope more people get a chance to read it. I really do.
Thank you, and thank you to anyone that's backed. Honestly, it means the world to me. I really appreciate it. Yeah,
it's so cool. All right, gang. Well, that's gonna be it for us. So make sure you smash that like button on the way out, and until next time, we will talk to you later. Peace.